President Trump let it rip today. Emotions, language, I'm talking all of it. Wait until you hear what had him dropping the F-bomb on camera. Plus, chilling new developments on Iranian sleeper cells right here in the United States. But first, a bombshell from the bench. A federal judge openly defies the Supreme Court. Now, some conservatives are calling for the impeachment of U.S. District Judge Brian Murphy, he's out of Boston, after he openly defied a Supreme Court ruling yesterday that cleared the way for the Trump administration to resume the deportation flights he initially blocked. Here's where maybe you can help me out, because I am having a really hard time understanding how a judge who was so furious when Trump ignored his order on deporting 8 individuals to South Sudan is now suddenly okay with ignoring the Supreme Court's ruling. That is some serious do as I say, not as I do energy coming straight out of Boston. Talk about selective obedience. Here's Stephen Miller on SCOTUS's ruling last night.
This is an incredible victory, the Supreme Court win. It allows President Trump, as the law has long said, but the courts have blocked, it allows President Trump to send illegal aliens convicted of rape, murder, homicide, assault, battery, crimes against children to any country around the world that is willing to accept them. So whether that be South Sudan, or whether it be Somalia, or whether it be Ethiopia, any country in the world that is willing to accept these monsters, we can get them out of our country and be free of them forever.
And the crazy part, it only took that district judge just a few hours to openly admit that he would defy the Supreme Court.
The district court judge in Boston has said he's going to defy the Supreme Court's ruling, so expect fireworks tomorrow when we hold this judge accountable for refusing to obey the Supreme Court.
This judge, Brian Murphy, decided to cite the dissenting opinion, and say, you know what, I'm going to give the Supreme Court the middle finger. I don't want to do it. So for all of the nonsense I've heard on this committee about every judge, including the ones from Missouri that were put forth, every nominee, including Pam Bondi, every single person in the administration that's come before the committee, there's sort of righteous indignation to sit here and act like they have the moral high ground on obeying court orders and the rule of law. It's all a lie. And the mask has come off.
Now, if my memory serves me correct, didn't the left just spend months telling us that defying the highest court in the land is dangerous? They threw a massive tantrum when Trump pushed back against the Supreme Court. Yet now when one of their own judges is doing exactly that, we hear crickets? So let's look at how we actually got here, because Judge Murphy, he was confirmed in a lame duck session. He was rushed through after Democrats lost both the White House and the Senate, all because 4 Republicans didn't show up to do their job. Had they all voted and voted no, we wouldn't even be in this mess. And you know who else we can thank? Elizabeth Warren.
Senator Markey and I were proud to recommend Mr. Murphy to President Biden for his appointment to the federal bench. Mr. Murphy's professional life has been defined by his dedication to the Constitution.
Dedication to the Constitution? Elizabeth Warren is proud? She might want to reconsider that. I mean, he's not upholding the Constitution, he's undermining it. Meanwhile, the threat of Iranian sleepers on U.S. soil just got very real. Over the weekend, ICE arrested 11 Iranian nationals, including one man already on the known terrorist watch list.
The Department of Homeland Security says Yusuf Meridano had been living in the United States illegally for nearly 8 years, since U.S. officials determined he lied on a visa application on Sunday, just 4 months after the Iranian foreign national was added to the U.S.'s known or suspected terrorist list. He was arrested in central Mississippi. He's now in ICE custody pending removal proceedings, and he's not alone. Over the past 48 hours, ICE officials have arrested 11 Iranian nationals spanning 8 states nationwide. Among them, 5 possessed previous criminal convictions, their crimes ranging from grand larceny to drug and firearm possessions. Also among those apprehended, Ribvar Karimi. While arresting him in northern Alabama, ICE officials say they found his Islamic Republic of Iran Army identification card and allege he served as an Iranian sniper between 2018 and 2021.
Thankfully, we now have a DHS that is actually focused on protecting Americans and cleaning up this disastrous mess that Biden left behind. Now, here's Trump responding to a question regarding the sleeper cells this morning. He was on Air Force One. Watch this.
Biden led a lot of supercells, and Biden was an incompetent president, had no idea what he was doing. He hardly ever signed a document. Other people signed documents for him with the auto pen. It was gross incompetence. And among everything else, he let a lot of supercells in, many from Iran. But hopefully we'll take care of them. What Biden did to this country should never be forgotten.
This should be an easy 90-10 issue for Americans to want those who entered our country illegally and were not properly vetted at the time to be removed from the homeland. Tom Homan, he was pretty energized about it this morning. Here's what he had to say.
My biggest concern is the open border causes the biggest national security vulnerability this country has ever seen. Day one of the Trump administration, we acted upon this, so we didn't wait for the Iranian conflict to happen. We knew from day one, we got a problem with these gotaways. We got a problem with these national security threats in this country.
We've already seen the chaos that comes from ignoring this problem. And now, here's something else that's going to make your jaw drop. The vice mayor of a city, a small city in Southeast LA, posted a video calling on gangs to fight back against ICE. Cynthia Gonzalez is now under investigation after appearing to call for 18th Street and Florencio gang members to defend their territory from ICE agents. Take a look at this.
I want to know where all the cholos are at in Los Angeles. 18th Street, Florencia. Where's the leadership at? Because you guys are all about territory, and this is 18th Street, and this is Florencia. You guys tag everything up, claiming hood. And now that your hood's being invaded by the biggest gang there is, there ain't a peep out of you. It's everyone else who's not about the gang life that's out there protesting and speaking up. We're out there like fighting our turf, protecting our people. And like, where you at?
At the end of the day, this isn't just one video or one official. I mean, it's part of a troubling trend that we are seeing from leaders blurring the line between public service and incitement. If we can't agree on enforcing the law and protecting our communities, then the problem runs much deeper than politics. Now, another major issue was Iran and Israel carrying out several lethal attacks early this morning, just hours after they had agreed to a ceasefire. Watch the president get pretty heated over this one.
Well, we basically have two countries that have been fighting so long and so hard that they don't know what the they're doing.
Just a quick reminder, if you're enjoying the show, make sure you hit that like button for me, because any engagement we have on this channel helps us grow our community. Also, let me know down below what you think. Do you feel President Trump's frustrations, right? Because I'm sure he has not had much sleep in the last week or so with everything going on, and he was so hoping to get these two to calm down. But it was an hour before the ceasefire went into effect this morning that the Iranians essentially launched 6 waves of ballistic missiles into Israel. One of those missiles slammed right into an apartment building, killing at least 4 people. Then Israel, they got in a few last-minute blows as well by dropping the largest load of bombs to date on Iran. The president, very upset, and said he was on his way to call Benjamin Netanyahu to tell him to cool it off.
Israel, as soon as we made the deal, they came out and they dropped a load of bombs, the likes of which I'd never seen before. The biggest load that we've seen. I'm not happy with Israel. You know, when I say, okay, now you have 12 hours, you don't go out in the first hour and just drop everything you have on them. So I'm not happy with them. I'm not happy with Iran either. But I'm really unhappy if Israel's going out this morning because of one rocket that didn't land, that was shot, perhaps by mistake, that didn't land. I'm not happy about that.
So President Trump boarded the plane, had that call with Netanyahu, and shortly after the president spoke with him, he says the ceasefire is in effect.
So the ceasefire is very much in effect, and I think we're going to keep it there for a long time.
Did you speak to Prime Minister Netanyahu about that?
I did.
What did you tell him?
I said you got to turn back the planes. And there was going to be a retaliation this morning by Israel. And I said you got to call back the planes. It's enough. It's enough. And they did, which I respect very greatly.
The president also had some beef this morning with the media, laying into them, especially CNN and MSNBC, and saying they need to apologize to the B-2 pilots after questioning the mission's effectiveness. Trump took great offense to that.
The fake news, like CNN in particular, they're trying to say, well, I agree that it was destroyed, but maybe not that destroyed. You know what they're doing? They're really hurting great pilots that put their lives in the line. CNN is scum, and so is MSNBC. They're all, and frankly, the networks aren't much better. It's all fake news, but they should not have done that. Those pilots hit their targets. Those targets were obliterated, and the pilots should be given credit. They're not after the pilots, they're after me.
Something else that is mind-blowing, I know I've said that a lot in this episode, but the media, while they were downplaying our military, CNN was busy excusing actual enemies. Watch this reporter brushing off Iranians chanting "Death to America."
I remember, Dan, at one point being in Tehran years ago, and they're chanting "Death to America" all around me, even as I say, "Oh, I'm an American reporting for CNN," and they were happy to speak to me. So that those two is sort of jarring realities of the chant, and yet the friendliness have existed together.
So let me get this straight. We're supposed to downplay a crowd chanting "Death to America" because they were polite to a CNN reporter? Friendly interviews don't cancel out hateful ideology, especially from a regime that funds terror and threatens U.S. forces. And the fact that this kind of spin actually makes it onto live television just shows you why so many Americans feel the media's priorities are completely upside down. Speaking of spin and political theater, it's reaching the Capitol. Here's Congressman Al Green once again calling for the president's impeachment over the decision to strike Iran.
Res. 537 has been filed because I believe that the President of the United States has committed an impeachable act. Res. 57 addresses abuse of presidential powers by disregarding the separation of powers, devolving American democracy into an authoritarian government.
I would love to interview one of these Democrats and find out why exactly they're impeaching Trump. Is it because Iran no longer has a nuclear weapon? Or is it because of the ceasefire that Trump managed to broker between Israel and Iran? Which is it? I mean, as for Al Green, he has zero credibility. Let's not forget he's the guy who was booted from President Trump's address to the nation after screaming over the president. He was also censured from Congress, and this is now his 5th attempt to impeach Trump. Well, guess what he was delivered today? Another devastating loss, as several of his own party voted against him and chose to table, or essentially kill, the motion to impeach Donald Trump.
On this vote, the yeas are 344, the nays are 79. The motion is adopted. Without objection, the motion to reconsider is laid upon the table.
And finally, since we're on the topic of presidential war powers, here's Nancy Pelosi back in 2011 when Obama bombed Libya. I love hypocrisy. Watch this.
Madam Leader, you're saying that the president did not need authorization initially and still does not need any authorization from Congress on Libya?
Yes.
There it is, straight from the former speaker. No need for Congress when the president strikes abroad. But maybe that only counts when it's their president. Coming up, I'm going to do a deeper dive into the national security threats we now face here at home. Plus, I've got some shocking news on Kilmar Abrego Garcia. Find out why he could potentially be walking free on American soil. Go ahead, click on that video you see now on your screen, and I'll see you over there.